Speech number 13, Surface Water Management. Reticular Canal System for Surface Water Management. Mother Earth, most beautiful among all the planets, kind in nature in nurturing the life. Let us try to understand her. Respected leaders, senior citizens and dear friends, I am Dr. Shivu, pediatrician from Mysore, Karnataka State, India. My phone numbers are +91 9448477380 +91 7892501 My mail is shivup.183@gmail.com. Visit www.slideshare.net/Dr. Shivu for my articles on our life, on this world and on environment. This is my 13th published speech. In this, we will talk about Mother Earth, her efforts in nurturing all the living things, and the need for understanding her for our survival forever. Let us look into two words, love and speed, first. The person who loves you the most on this earth is you only. Next may be your parents or wife if married, or children if you have, or the friends if they are real friends. If you don't love your wife, then she may not love you, and the response for the same will be expressed by the way you get the care. That means when we don't love someone, then it is not possible to expect the love and care from them. In the same way, when we don't love Mother Earth, we cannot expect the love and care from her, or it will be different. Still, Mother Earth loves all the living species on this earth by providing air, water and food continuously free of cost. But the intelligent people take the advantage of this nature, becomes the owner and sell all these things as mediators. Speed means distance per unit time. Has 2 points, the point of departure and the point of destination. We are all in the midst of this journey. Our next generation will continue the journey if the path is good, or they will end the journey by making the life to come to an end, as we have already destroyed the natural resources to the maximum possible, like land for construction, forest for wood, oil for fuel and so on. Thus our air for breathing, water for drinking and food for eating has reached the level of scarcity for almost 2/3 of the people, at least in India. The scarcity of food is manifesting in the form of nutritional deficiency diseases, which becomes a specialization in medicine, and they are the glorified topics for the students of medicine, consuming extensive pages in their textbooks. With the speed of development, these diseases may cover most of the people on one side, and on the other side, the level of poisoning may rise for those who eat sufficiently, as the usage of pesticides, insecticides, ripening agents, preservatives, chemical manures and so on increases to get more yield, to meet the need of the people who are affordable to buy the food items. That means the speed at which we travel with the land for construction, forest for wood, oil for fuel and so on determines the time to reach our final destination, that is the end of life. Please think for a while. Why can't we understand the relation between the life and present progress? Why we are not thinking about growing what all we eat in our own place? Why we are not thinking about increasing the number of trees for generating more oxygen for us and take up more carbon dioxide liberated from us to have optimum temperature? Why we are not thinking about retaining the lands belonging to agriculture and forest as it is for our food and oxygen by occupying less land in the name of construction and connection? Why we need What we need is the unity, integrity, cooperation and coordination, not only in the speech but also in the real life. Mother Earth, her love and care for living. It is through the rivers which are flowing continuously. See, we can see everywhere water is there. So Mother Earth has got plenty of water on her. So we can see there are lots of things are there. So the rivers are flowing continuously. So there is no scarcity for fresh water. Okay. So there are plenty of water is there on this earth's surface. Plants which are giving fruits and flowers, they are also there in plenty. There was a pleasant temperature and flow of wind for the skin to sense. There was a pleasant sounds produced from the flow of wind and water at the optimum sound level. Birds and animals were adding music to this background. Provides air and water for all, provides fruits with the taste, provides food with nutrition. The word poison was not known to Mother Earth. The signs of care in Mother Earth for living. There are small, medium and large water pathways which are distributed all across the world over the surface of the land. This we will be calling it as streams, tributaries and rivers and so on. So we can see all these things. So there are plenty of streams, tributaries and rivers are present. So we can see it's a dam. It's a Kaveri river. It's the dam called Krishna Raja Sagara. So we can see there are many rivers which so this is the rivers and so what we can see is this is the Kaveri river. And there are many tributaries which small streams will join the river. Okay, so ultimately there is, so what we can see if this is the Kaveri river and there are many small tributaries which are joining and there are streams also like this. So these things are there everywhere. So what we can see is, see everywhere it is there. So we might have created some canals like this. So this is Vishveshwaraya canal. So we might have created these canals. So these are the artificial canals. But when we look into the things, there are waterways everywhere. These are all the natural waterways. So the waterways, natural waterways, are distributed all along the land. Everywhere water paths are there, where water may be there or may not be there. See, we need to understand for our all these things for our future work. So we may not be able to see the water directly which percolates into the underground, and the water which evaporates into the sky, but sometimes this water we see when we dig the well or with rain. Managing this surface, undersurface and or underground rainwater gained extreme importance with increase in the population to get needed air, water, food from this environment at the places where we live. How Mother Earth helps the living. All the living beings respire, use water as the medium for activity, take up various nutrients to grow and repair its own body or tissue. So these are the above said are the basic things we see in all the flora and fauna. This is needed to come to this existence, to grow, to maintain the normal physiology, to repair the damage to its own body and to survive under normal physiological condition. Mother Earth provides all these things to all the living organisms in mutually beneficial way, especially between the plants and animal kingdom. Mother Earth has what all needed for the entire flora and fauna. There are water pathways everywhere. Once upon a time water was flowing all the time in all the paths. So that's what we have seen just now. So water pathways are there everywhere. So water was flowing everywhere before, but now these are all water pathways. These are all the water pathways. Now we may or may not be seeing the water flowing in these paths. This is another water pathway. So once upon a time there was an optimum temperature. So there were plants and trees which no one has planted, but there were cereals, pulses, vegetables, fruits and so on available everywhere. Once upon a time there was an optimum temperature for better pollination. Wind was helping the plants to spread the species everywhere. Once upon a time no one used to clean the leaves away from the trees. They were getting all the nutrition from their population itself. Rain was not causing the flood frequently as it is happening nowadays. Instead, it helped the plants and trees to increase their height and weight by resting below the shades of the plants and trees, percolating and hydrating all the roots to combine with CO2 in the leaves. Thus, rain was also participating in the process of maintaining the optimum temperature of the environment by never allowing the CO2 molecules to increase more than needed, as every water molecule joined with CO2 molecule inside the trees and made the trees to become taller and bigger, also providing more and more oxygen for the animals including humans. Let us try to understand the beautiful arrangements made by the Mother Earth in nurturing the entire flora and fauna and her power of withstanding the pain by the damage caused by the humans. Maintaining the physics, chemistry, physiology of both living and non-living things in this earth, even with continuous and extensive damage caused by the humans to the planet Earth, in maintaining the homeostasis, is the beauty of the Mother Earth. With increase in population, with this type of lifestyle the humans lead, makes the air, water, food to get polluted and becomes poisonous. To decrease this process of poisoning, we need to decrease the process which causes poisoning to this environment, like decrease the usage of poison-causing fuels and factory products, so on, which we have discussed earlier. Air, water, food are the basic needs, which is supplied by the Mother Earth free of cost. Humans commercialized all these things. Food was available free of cost few centuries ago. With the growth in population, it was changed to commercial item from many centuries. Now, the air and water are supplied in cylinders and bottles, and they are gaining their full potential in business and may become universally commercial within few decades, or the air and water may become polluted to the extent where the non-commercial air and water may act like a poison if it is consumed directly, if the present progress continues in the same way. So, to decrease all the damage causing events to this environment, to get the water to all the needy places, to get the clean air, water, food, managing the surface water well is the need of the hour, and why surface water management is crucial at present, and how these things are interrelated are already discussed in the previous sessions. We have already understood that to get the clean air and adequate food, water is the basic need. Before we go for the techniques or methods of managing the surface water, let us understand Mother Earth to the extent where we will be able to manage the surface water, to the extent where we will be able to grow our food in our own place. This is to decrease the usage of pollution causing vehicles in the name of food transportation. This is to grow trees to convert carbon dioxide to carbon mass with better production of oxygen with the help of water by converting CO2 and H2O into trees. This is to make the people who are divided in the name of owners of dry, semi-irrigated, irrigated lands to unite and work together to make all these things to happen to save planet Earth. We know Earth has plenty of water on it. We argue like there is more non-potable salty water, 97%, and very less potable fresh water, 3% on this earth. But we never argue like this 3% fresh water we can use every day, and that 97% salt water stays as it is forever. We never try to understand that 97% salt water was made salty water only after this 3% fresh water was made to join the salt water or the sea. Population is increasing with the human activity. The need of the water increased with increased demand for food and with human lifestyle like big houses, many vehicles, fancy items and so on. Many a times we never allow other people to use the fresh water and allow the water to become salty based on the region and administration. It becomes mandatory to think for the ways where we can get fresh water to all the needy places. Thereby we can stop the process of desertification by distributing fresh water to all the needy lands. Because trees will not grow or will not be alive even if they are big in the absence of sufficient water molecules, even if there is plenty of carbon dioxide molecules available. There is no scarcity of carbon dioxide molecules at present in this environment. But more carbon dioxide in this environment is giving problem for the entire fauna and flora through alterations in temperature and climate changes. We need more trees to convert more carbon dioxide to carbon mass, so that the atmospheric temperature becomes normal to support the entire flora and fauna. But trees needs water to grow that is not available at the place where they can grow. Since humans have destroyed trees in plenty, they have to re-establish the trees again by using the water which is available in plenty on this earth with better surface water management to all the places where trees can grow. Not only the plants, all the animals needs water for their sustainability. Even the animals in the forest migrate to different places in search of water, and if they don't find, they may die. Our ancestors in the ancient time know that without water life is not possible. So they established their villages near the banks of the rivers, which became today's cities, both in the world and in the India. So let us look. The ancient villages progressed into the present cities, were developed on the banks of rivers in this world are as follows. Athens in Greece, on the bank of rivers of Iliosus and Eridros. So we can see that Athens, okay. So what you can see, this is one of the world's oldest city. Okay, it was developed like a small village and now became a very huge city. It was developed on the banks of Ilissos and Eridros, but now you see these are the rivers. They are almost vanished and no water is entering the sea. So it became a very big city. So in the same way, Damascus in Syria, so when we look into the other cities like Damascus in Syria is another oldest city. So this was on the bank of Barada. It's almost dry because of extensive extraction of water. So this is the Damascus. So the river is almost dry. So as it is passing, so it's just it becomes dry. Afterwards we will not be seeing anything. So there are many river cities, olden villages which became cities like this, maybe Byblos of Lebanon. So it's another old village which became a city. So it was there on the bank of river Abraham. Now they are all not very well seen because the whole river water has been utilized by the city, and they are still there. Okay, but almost most of the water is utilized by the people of the city. So like that we can see Aleppo, Syria on the bank of river Quen, Plovdiv, Bulgaria on the bank of river Marista, and Varanasi, that is the India, on the banks of river Ganga. So I think all of you are familiar. So in the bank of river Ganga, anyhow, so river Ganga is there. So this is Varanasi, and we can see river Ganga flowing. So this is the city of Varanasi. So like this, Varanasi may be a small city, now has developed into a huge city. It began as a small village. So Jericho, that is in Palestine on the bank of river Jordan, Jerusalem, Israel on the bank of river Jordan, Susa, Iran on the banks of river Kirkuk or Chiapas, Sidon, that is Lebanon on the banks of river Sidon or Mississippi, Beirut, Lebanon on the banks of river Beirut, Gaziantep, Turkey on the banks of rivers Sajar, Erbil, Iraq on the banks of river Khazir, a tributary of river Great Zab, Argos, Spain on the banks of river Argos, a tributary of river Segura, Balkh, Afghanistan on the bank of river Balkh, Luxor, Egypt on the banks of river Nile, Cadiz, Spain on the banks of river Guadalquivir, Mohenjo-daro, Pakistan on the banks of river Indus. So you can see this So Mohenjo-daro, all of us know that it's one of the oldest civilization. So oldest civilization which developed in Indus Valley. Presently it belongs to Pakistan nation. So we can see Mohenjo-daro. Alexandria, Egypt on the banks of river Nile. It is the Mediterranean port city. Lyon, China on the banks of river Luo, a tributary of Yellow River. Quito, Ecuador on the banks of river Guelambamba River. Uruk, Iraq on the banks of river Euphrates. So the ancient villages progressed into present cities were developed on the banks of the rivers in India are as follows. Ujjain, Madhya Pradesh on the bank of river Siprat, a tributary of river Chambal. So we can see the Ujjain, which was an ancient village, now it became a city. So we can see river Sipra is flowing. So it's a tributary of Chambal river. So it drains into Chambal. So joins the Chambal. So which is Gandhi Sagar. You can see the reservoir. So Varanasi, just now we have seen. Uttar Pradesh on the banks of river Ganga, Patna, Bihar on the banks of river Ganga, Madurai in Tamil Nadu on the banks of river Vaigai, Tanjavur, Tamil Nadu on the banks of river Kaveri, Ayodhya, Uttar Pradesh on the banks of river Sarayu, New Delhi on the banks of river Yamuna. So all of us know Delhi, New Delhi, which is the capital of India, which is on the banks of river Yamuna. You can see river Yamuna. So almost in summer time it becomes completely dry, even though it's rising from Himalayan range of hills. So this is Yamuna Nadi, Yamuna river. This is so we can see the very big city Delhi. Kanauj, Uttar Pradesh on the banks of river Ganga, Vadodara, Gujarat on the banks of river Vishwamitri, Gwalior, Madhya Pradesh on the banks of river Chambal, Kollam, Kerala on the banks of river Kollad and the Astamadi Lake. Dwarka, Gujarat on the banks of river Gomti, Vrindavan, Uttar Pradesh on the banks of river Yamuna, Puri, Odisha on the banks of river Mahanadi, Amaravati, Andhra Pradesh on the banks of river Krishna, Kanchipuram, Tamil Nadu on the banks of river Palar, Chennai, Tamil Nadu on the banks of river Adyar, our port city, Jaipur, Rajasthan on the banks of river Banganga, Bharuch, Gujarat on the banks of river Narmada, Bhubaneswar, Odisha on the banks of river Mahanadi, Cuttack, Odisha on the banks of river Mahanadi, and Kottajodi, Vishakhapatnam, Andhra Pradesh on the banks of river Gostani, port city, Jabalpur, Madhya Pradesh on the banks of river Narmada, Mayiladuturai, Tamil Nadu on the banks of river Kaveri, Vellore, Tamil Nadu on the banks of river Palar, Nagapattinam, Tamil Nadu on the banks of river Tirukkaralai, Nasik, Maharashtra on the banks of river Godavari, Pune, Maharashtra on the banks of river Mutha and Mula, Jhansi, Uttar Pradesh on the banks of river Palini, Odisha, Madhya Pradesh on the banks of river Betwa and Bias, Karur, Tamil Nadu on the banks of river Amaravati, Kumbakonam, Tamil Nadu on the banks of river Kaveri and Arasalar, Tirunelveli, Tamil Nadu on the banks of river Tambirapani, Rajamundry, Andhra Pradesh on the banks of river Godavari, Kurukshetra, Haryana on the banks of the river Saraswati and Drishadvak, Viratnagar, Rajasthan on the banks of the river Banganga, tributary of river Gambhir, Sangrur, Punjab on the banks of river Gagar, Guwahati, Assam on the banks of river Brahmaputra, Tangashiri, Kerala on the banks of river Kallaga, and Astamudi Lake. It's a coastal city. So that means all our ancient people dependent on some water source, and that's how they started their villages in the banks of the rivers, and presently all of them, most of them are converted into big cities. So now the people are more intelligent. People become more intelligent. Okay. As the population increased, as the people became more intelligent, as the lifestyle of the people became different, the need for various things increased, including the water. Water is available in plenty on this earth. It is only the system of distribution needs to be expanded to get the needed water to the needed place at the needed time. Providing this need becomes mandatory with the expansion of the population, at least based on the humanitarian grounds. Humanitarian grounds means the thoughts that comes out from the humans are good and gives justice to the entire flora and fauna. Do you think there is any scarcity of anything with Mother Earth for the present population? Is the Mother Earth gives polluted things, or is the intelligent humans makes the air, water, food to get polluted or poisonous? Now, there are water pathways everywhere. We have just seen. Water is not flowing in all the time in all these paths. See, there is no scarcity for water paths. So anywhere you see, water paths are available. See, they are all water paths. Okay, but water may not be flowing all the time in all the paths. Now there are plants and trees, but there are human owners for all of them, which someone might have planted or might have grown naturally. Owners sell cereals, pulses, vegetables, fruits and so on for currency everywhere till it works. Now the optimum temperature for better pollination is already altered. Wind makes the pollens to fly for a place where there is no water and thus converts it into a dust to cause allergy to the animals, including humans. Thus the plants are taking their own end gradually. Now we became very clean. We clean all the plant products, burn them at a distance, thus make the plants not to get the nutrition they needed from their own products. Creating an impermeable layer around the plants and trees also made the trees and plants not to get the nutrition from their own products. Many trees undergo cyclical shedding of leaves and sprouting, where they use their own products that we don't understand. Now rain usually causes flood. It is not helping the plants and trees to increase their height and weight to a greater extent, even though there is more CO2 available in the environment, as it is not able to rest below the shade of the plant and trees in most of the cases, as these areas might have converted with the different water dynamics. Percolating and hydrating all the roots of the plants to combine with CO2 in the leaves may not be possible to a greater extent by the rainwater, as time available for the water to stay there has decreased. Now there is faster life for the water also, because there is faster rate of flow of water on the surface. There is faster evaporation with increased atmospheric temperature. There is increased rate of accidents happening between the rain and soil, as there are less trees on the land which were acting like a speed breaker for the rain by preventing the collision with the topsoil. Thus the trees were protecting the topsoil by decreasing the force of the rain to the greater extent and retaining the water in its body and beneath. There is increased rate of percolation with increased soil dehydration on one side. There is increased extraction of underground water through bore wells. This way humans make the trees and plants not to get their water and to suffer from dehydration. Thus the leaves will not be able to utilize more carbon dioxide, leading to trees to remain small and produce less oxygen. Thus more carbon dioxide is retaining in the environment, and to this humans add more and more carbon dioxide. Why can't we utilize all the dry water paths to provide water to all the plants to take up more carbon dioxide? So this is the thought which had come from my side, but all of you have to think, because it's the need of the hour. Since Mother Earth has water pathways at all the places as it was shown now, why we are not planning to utilize all these water pathways to make the water to flow all the time as per the need, as humans have distributed their population all across the land on this earth. Water is also needed by the roots of the trees to grow bigger and taller to take up more carbon dioxide through their leaves. Why can't we utilize the available surface water to provide water to all the plants and trees? Why we need to blame the nature for not getting water for the place where we need? Instead, why can't we sit together and think, is there are ways to make all the natural water pathways to flow with water all the time as per the need? Presently, there may be decreased cloud condensation and raining may be due to decreased trees at various places. The tree size and number are not increasing due to various reasons. We might have not cut the trees, but we have not allowed the trees to take up more carbon dioxide by taking out the water from the surface, subsurface and underground levels by various techniques. Made the water to run fast in shorter period with modern technology in less space by occupying places of water pathways. We, without our knowledge, removed the layer of plants and trees which was protecting the topsoil by making the animals to graze the plants and grass, eat the seeds of the plants and eat the worms protecting the soil nutrition. Through domestic animals and birds meant to feed the humans. As the population increased, the need for water also increased at the places where the people started living, at least for domestic purpose. The water required to grow the food is presently managed by pollution-causing transportation system by transporting food items from the place where it is possible to grow with the help of water to the place of final consumption till it works or till the demand of the area where it is grown equals to the growth potential of that area. In India, we have more than 70 lakh kilometers of road, more than 1 lakh kilometers of railway track, and near to 1 lakh kilometers of flyovers for transportation of food, goods, and people. If we would have understood the nature with increase in the population to get the water, not only for food, but also for getting clean air and optimum temperature by converting carbon dioxide to carbon mass by utilizing surface water effectively by creating few thousands of canals which can transport water horizontally, then we can utilize more than 1 crore kilometer of natural water pathways which are flowing vertically down to provide water to most of the needed places, not only to grow the food in sufficient quantity to meet the local need without transportation, but also to optimum air and temperature. Decreased transportation of food products through vehicle, increased transportation of water through natural water pathways. Why Why can't we think, like, instead of concentrating on transportation of food from place to place, adding pollution to the environment by the vehicles and factory products, cutting trees for road widening and railway track creation, why can't we transport water to all the places through the natural water pathways by gravity without involving pollution or energy? Natural water pathways are already existing everywhere, as it was shown before, as the potential to transport and distribute water to all the places to grow what all we eat, which is going to decrease carbon dioxide level in the environment by making the trees bigger and taller. Decreasing carbon dioxide level from the present value makes the environmental temperature optimum for pollination, better yield in the crops, the seed sprouts better wherever the seed falls on the soil and later becomes plants and trees. With increased population in one valley area, the rain which falls on that valley area is not becoming sufficient in many places, especially in valleys with increased population density. But that does not mean there is scarcity of water on this earth. It is not possible to destroy water. So what we can see is, if in one valley area so when we look into the river Kaveri, so this is Krishnarajasagara, this is Mettur Dam, Kaveri river flows, maybe after this place onwards there is extensive use of river water and the rivers becomes almost dry. So we can see only sand. Most of the part of the Kaveri river becomes dry. So here we can see there is almost, it is empty, very little is going on. So that means we have not yet interlinked rivers, we have not diverted one river valley water to another valley, we are using water only confined to that valley. So that means the entire river water is becoming dry in this course. That indicates that the demand of water in that valley is more than whatever water is generating in that valley. So this we need to think. Okay, if we don't address this issue, okay, so we may be concentrating only on growing agricultural products and all, but we will not be able to concentrate on the water which is required for the plants and trees and for animals, all those things. We are not routinely concentrating on all these things. So that's how ultimately, so those things, they will suffer, and over a period of time desertification will start. We all know there is only the transformation in the chemical composition occurs in this environment like ice to water or to water vapor, as trees or organisms or materials or ash-like materials and so on. Increase in atmospheric temperature can bring changes like transformation of ice into water, which is expected in the near future if the same type of progress proceeds. Conversion of trees or organisms or materials into ash-like material can happen with further increase in atmospheric temperature as an acute, unexpected, sudden event at isolated or wide or multiple areas as spontaneous fires and can spread to all the land. Transformation of trees or organisms into ash in an abnormal way is not compatible with life. So, we need to transform the environment where it is more suitable for the life. It becomes mandatory. Combined collective work needs to be done to save all of us as we have already enjoyed our life against the principles of nature. The land on the surface of this earth is not uniform. The lowermost part of the earth is the largest depressed area which accommodates the water as the sea, receiving not only the water but also large amount of minerals, electrolytes, organic materials, thus becomes salty. So that means this is the lowermost part. So these are the lowermost part. So that's why the water is accumulating here. These are the lowermost part of this earth, the sea, oceans. There are elevated areas which forms the hills and mountains. Their tips or the top edges divides the land into catchment areas of different water pathways. Thus the rain on either the side of the range of hills reaches different water paths and the lands are divided into valleys. See, what we can see is, so for example, if we take so these are the range of hills. Okay, so which divides this is the Kaveri Valley, and when we go little up, so this may be the Krishna Valley. Okay, again this is a range which divides. The northern part is will feed Krishna River, and the southern part down will feed Kaveri River. So like that the entire land, so they are divided by these hills. So these are the hills which divides the different catchment areas of different rivers. So the water generated in one valley by means like rain, surface flow, subsurface flow, percolation from the higher level areas may join the same valley water pathways or with another valley area water pathways before it reaches the lowermost area of the earth, the sea, or it may directly join the sea. But all the lands are connected to one another if it is not interrupted by the sea. At every level of land above the mean sea level in the form of continuous curved line or by the area if the land is flat. Say for example, see when we go to these coastal areas, see these are the continuous land, connected land, because this part the entire land is zero level. Say for example, if we come little high, which may be 5 meters above the mean sea level, this may be 10 meters maybe above the mean sea level, and that belt will be there. So like that we will go, that belt will be there 5 to 10 meters above the mean sea level, so that will be there throughout. In the same way, when we consider a different level, so this is the maybe coastal river point, because it's a fixed point, and the level of the river goes on increasing. So I think it is better to consider this point as a constant point for our practical purposes, instead of we going towards the origin, because origin is invisible. So the end point where the river joins the sea is a constant point. So it goes on, the level of this river here is 0, and it goes on increasing. Like this, if we are going, it may be 20, 30, 40. So like this it will go on increasing. So say let us consider this Kaveri river. Maybe when we go to this Mettur dam, okay, it may be 400 or 450 meters like that. If you go to Hogenkal Falls, okay, it may be 460, 470. Or if we go little up in Karnataka, if we go, maybe this is the Sangam, and this is the, so what we can see is the falls, Gaganchuki, Barchuki falls, and maybe at the bottom of the falls, the height of the river may be about 500 meters above the mean sea level. So that means somewhere at in the course of the river, this point is 500 meters above the mean sea level in Kaveri river. That means the same height will be there in other rivers also. So for example, if you take here, it may be 500 meters above the mean sea level. So like that. So that means this point and that point, they are at the same level. And if you create a flat canal between these 2 points, identifying the same level land, so then naturally we can shift the water of this river bed catchment area to that river catchment area. So if we consider a range of land level like 5 to 10 meters above the mean sea level, then we will get a continuous strip of land at the level of 5 to 10 meters above the mean sea level, which may be broad at some places with more obtuse angle in landscape, or narrow at some places with more acute angle in the landscape, where the lower edge of this land strip corresponds to 5 meters above the mean sea level, and the upper edge of the land strip corresponds to 10 meters above the mean sea level, as we have just discussed. If the population of one valley is more than the water generated in the same valley area, then it is very much essential to get the water from the neighboring valley area where the population is less as compared to the generation of water relatively. If we do not get the water by sharing, but if the population is increasing in one particular area, then we will convert that area into a desert in the matter of few years by utilizing all the water which are meant for other animals, plants and trees, including soil microbiota. This process is called desertification, and this area will not participate in the process of decreasing global warming. So the area or the valley which have more water at present will also go for desertification in the next phase due to increased atmospheric temperature. Thus more and more areas become deserts, as we are already seeing such type of changes at northern part of Africa, southern Asia, western North America, Australia, and so on. So when we look into this globe, so we can easily see the things are, I think when we look into the African continent, these parts are already becoming deserts. They are deserts, and this part is also becoming desert. And the southern part, most of the southern Asia, including these areas, they are becoming deserts. Australia again becoming desert. So most of the part you can see Australia. And when we look into the North America, some parts of North America, so these places are becoming deserts. So that means there are many places which are converting into the deserts. This we are seeing. If we are not understanding these things, then it's a problem for us also and for our next generation. So the lesson we need to learn from these changes is to convert all the bare areas which are, so that means those areas have the potential to grow trees. We have to manage the surface water well in those areas and convert that bare land into a good forest, social forestry land. So all the bare areas which are changing into deserts needs to be converted into forest by managing the surface water well, by utilizing all the natural water pathways to utilize more and more carbon dioxide that we have already produced and still producing large quantity for our luxury life into carbon mass. If there is more people in one area, then proportionately more water is needed to save all the animals, plants, trees and soil microbiota. Then only the humans will survive with normal health. So create less roads but use more water pathways, transport less goods but more water, occupy less area for construction but convert more area into forest. So we need to utilize the surface water of all the river catchment areas effectively to decrease the global warming. The rain which falls in one valley area forming a small water pathway, we may be calling it a stream. Many such water paths joining together and forming a bigger water paths, we may be calling it as a tributary, and later all this water of the water pathways joining and forming still a bigger water path that we may be calling as a river, which later drains into the sea, are the usual thing we see on this earth. And this particular area surrounded by the elevated areas and hills is called one river catchment area, which we have seen just now. So this is one river catchment area, Kaveri river. So it may include this part also. Okay, so these are the range of hills, and this is another range of hills where it makes the water to flow either on the east or on the west. So now the population is increased to the level which is more than the volume of water generating in one river catchment area. To solve this problem related to water, it is very much necessary to manage the surface water effectively of all the river catchment areas by receiving the excess water generated at the areas of different river catchment area outside to the needed river catchment area. For this, it is necessary to think in the way where we need need to assess the water generation which is excess as compared to the need of that area, and that excess water reaches the sea, and we also need to assess the areas where there is more need for the water, for which we need to have the idea about why water flows in a specific path, how lands are becoming lower and lower towards the water paths, how rows of hills separates one river basin to another river basin, where the flow of water becomes more in the course of water pathways sufficient enough to shift the water to the neighboring river catchment area. What is that level? Is there any continuity in land to divert the water to neighboring river catchment area through canals by gravity in a safe manner, and so on? So there is a possibility for all these things in this planet, and we need to visualize the same. Let us try to understand the nature. Let us look into the earth. Let us look into our river Kaveri valley. The entire valley is surrounded by a range of hills. There are numerous streams of water originates from the hills, converge and forms the tributaries of the river, and neighboring tributaries are separated by rows of hills. See, let us see this. This is the Krishna Raja Sagara. So there are various rivers. Say for example, this is the Kaveri river. Okay, this is the Kabini river, and this is the Hemavati river. See, they are all. See, there is a range of hills. Here is a range of hills. So here is a range of hills. See, these hills separates these rivers. See, this is an elevated area. So maybe the city of Mysore, which is present between 700 to 750 meters above the mean sea level, it's at a higher level. So where to the north the river Kaveri flows, to the south river Kabini flows. So it is taking origin in the Western Ghats and flowing, and this is also taking the origin in the Western Ghats and flowing, and these two rivers are separated by a range of hills. So the surface which are inclining towards the lowermost land will feed the water pathway with water when there is rain, or with the water which is percolating in it. Many dams have been constructed as a water pathways to store the water for later utilization. Many a times we see no water in the course of a river or a dry water pathway distant to the dam and proximal to the place where another tributary feeds the same river in its distal course. This is happening with the present population even if the river water is not shifted to another river catchment area. Just now we have seen Kaveri river is becoming dry by the time it reaches the eastern parts of Tamil Nadu. This is the sign that areas is going for a drought, and the trees in that area will not grow bigger or taller, and will not be able to take up more carbon dioxide. The trees may become dry and die soon. Small plants and the grass also becomes dry and dies. Thus the topsoil becomes vulnerable for wind and next rain. Both will wipe away the soil and make the topsoil and make the area desert in few decades. Such type of bald areas are already developed in this world at many continents, like northern part of Africa, southern part of Asia, western North America, Australia, as we have seen just now. That means if the soil in these places were retaining rainwater to the optimum level, then these areas would have taken up most of the carbon dioxide of the environment by combining with H2O molecules to form carbon mass, and the environmental temperature might have decreased to the optimum level. But these places have already lost the character of the normal soil and became deserts. Such type of changes are happening in India and also in Karnataka, like northern part of Karnataka. So many northern parts. So see, these are the areas, okay, which are going for desertification. Okay, where there are very less trees, the topsoils are already gone and the normal soil characteristics are lost in this area. These bald areas have the potential to take up more carbon dioxide if these lands get sufficient water through better surface water management, and thus we can prevent global warming and climate changes. And it is possible if all the leaders of all the nations make up their mind to save this planet Earth. When environmental temperature increases, as majority of the land is not participating in the process of carbon dioxide uptake due to deficiency of water in the soil, two things can happen. Like, the first one is melting of the ice may be present over the mountains and at the poles of the poles, and the second one is spontaneous fires in the forest areas, first later spreading to all the places. We all know that the ice becomes water at the temperature of 4 degrees centigrade. We also know water is denser than ice. 100 ml of water converts into 109 ml of ice at lower temperature. The density of liquid water is 1 gram per ml. The density of ice is 0.92 grams per ml. Ice in water floats because of its lesser density. When ice floats in the water, the 10% of the total volume of the ice is visible above the upper surface of the water. That means when ice melts completely into water, only 1% of the total volume of ice will make the water surface to rise. The rest 9% will get the accommodation as water at the place where the ice was present underneath the upper surface of the water. So there is large surface area of the sea. So if all the ice at various places of sea melts, most of the melted ice gets their accommodation at their native place without causing much rise in the sea level with rise in global temperature. So this we will see. So there are polar ice. See, these are the polar ice. So this is South Pole and this is the ice in the North Pole. Okay, and say for example, if these ice are there present in the sea, so the sea ice melting may not be causing much problem. Okay, but the problem lies here. So the ice of these places, so when they melt, they completely reach when these ice melts, they will completely reach the sea and makes the sea level to rise. So the annual Arctic sea ice minimum area between 1979 to 2020 with area of graph is shown here. So what we can see this, I think it is, we can see the graph over here.
You created a business. Now, create videos for your business.
So we will skip that. So we can also see the graph. So what is happening, this is millions kilometer square. So it was almost 7 million square kilometers in the year 1975 and has reached almost closer to closer to 3.5 millions. So by the year 2020, that means, so the 7 million square kilometers which was there in the year 1972 has been 1979 has been decreased to almost 3.25 million square kilometers of ice coverage in the year 2020. So this has been identified. So and we can also see that so the water sheets, rising waters out of balance ice sheets, that is what we can see is so the Greenland and Antarctics.
Greenland and Antarctica are home to most of the world's glacial ice that accumulates on land, including its only two ice sheets. That's why scientists focus their energy here first when looking for answers about sea level rise. Here's a concerning reality. Combined, the two regions contain enough ice that if it were to melt all at once, sea levels would increase by nearly...
So this is almost 215 feet. Almost 60 to 70 meters
Now,
rise.
it's not going to happen anytime soon. But even a few feet of sea level rise, much less 215, would be disastrous for the planet's coastal communities. For most people, these processes are happening so far away that it's hard to imagine how melting at the poles even occurs. Let's lay some groundwork. A healthy glacier is one that accumulates the same amount of snowfall as it loses. It's a system in balance. Unfortunately, today's glaciers and ice sheets are not in balance. Here's what that actually looks like. In Greenland, when warm summer air melts the surface of a glacier, the meltwater drills holes down through the ice. It makes its way down to the bottom of the glacier where it runs between the ice and the bedrock, and eventually shoots out in a plume at the base of the glacier. The meltwater plume is lighter because it doesn't contain salt. It's fresh water. It rises toward the surface, mixing warm, salty ocean water upward in the process. The warm water then rubs up against the bottom of the glacier, causing even more of the glacier to melt. This often leads to calving, where ice cracks and breaks off into large icebergs. In addition to melting caused by warm air and a warm ocean, Antarctica faces another challenge: the bedrock itself. Researchers often split Antarctica into two regions, East and West. Unlike East Antarctica, the bedrock that makes up West Antarctica is below sea level, which means it's actually underwater. Warmer water has an easier time seeping in between the continental shelf and the ice sheet, melting the ice from below. This causes the ice shelves to thin and break off into the ocean. Melting and ice loss have accelerated at both poles in recent years. The more we learn about this complicated process, the more accurately we'll be able to predict sea level rise far into the future.
So the courtesy is from NASA. So but the problem lies with ice which are outside the sea, over the land, like the ice caps present over the top of the mountains and hills. The melted ice from these places completely reaches the sea and make the sea level to rise with rise in global temperature. Thus, the total land area on this earth is going to decrease, with the sea occupying more land, especially the low-lying coastal land including the coastal cities. See, these are the ice which are present over the mountains. They are called the glaciers. So they can break down, okay, with rise in even few degree centigrade rise. So I think we cannot forget these instances, and they are all in front of our eyes. So we can see the Uttarakhand Glacier Outbreaks. So scores fear dead after glacier causes dam burst in India, because so when once the glacier breaks, lot of water will flow, and it made the dam to burst, and we can see it's an a tragedy, big tragedy that we can see. So this is the Uttarakhand incidents. So this is because of global warming and melting of glacier ice suddenly in large quantity and making, so we can see this water is taking away everything which are on the way. So the dam has been flushed out and it is destroying the entire valley, because the volume of water generated from the outbreak of glacier was so high and enormous, and these things have happened because of rise in temperature made the ice to melt a little bit, and that made the glacier to slips from their original place. So one particular nation may be very much environmental conscious and may be taking varieties of measures to protect the environment, but the sea may engulf the land of the nation, and the spontaneous forest fires can happen to that nation also. It is because this melting of ice reaching the sea, which is a common pool, and rise in sea level can affect all the coastal land without any partiality, as there is rise in atmospheric temperature due to decreased carbon dioxide utilization and increased carbon dioxide production, leading to global warming. So the process of land not able to convert the carbon dioxide into carbon mass have already started happening at places like northern part of Africa, southern Asia, western part of North America, Australia and so on. And these lands are not participating in taking up carbon dioxide, as there is not much water available in these lands due to poor surface water management, which might have happened by cutting trees, utilization water of that area at different places, by construction of dams, excess of grazing animals to get the meat and other animal products. Trees might have dried up spontaneously due to less availability of needed water for their physiology. I think most of you have gone through my 13th speech related to the environment and understood the beautiful arrangements made by the Mother Earth in nurturing the entire flora and fauna, and her power of withstanding the pain by the damage caused by these humans. In my next talk, that is in 14th speech, we will see how we can make use of available surface water to prevent the climate changes and save this planet Earth. If you like this, then you please subscribe my channel and share with my friends, with your friends, relatives and family members till it reaches all the leaders of this world to take necessary measures so that this world remains as it is for n number of years. Thanks once again.